So
That's
what does
wonderful.
your product do? What
Oh
specifically does
gosh.
it do?
My very first product was intended on being a anti-aging beauty serum, but I'm on my fifth year now, and I can't tell you the amount of emails that I've gotten from the people that are telling me that they're using my gold serum from things as far as burns from the stove, curling iron burns, tattoo healing, brown
Hmm.
recluse spider bites,
Wow.
very dermatological skin issues that we're not allowed to really say too much from FDA, what we can do, but we're watching a lot of things that a steroid is not able to fix this fast, if I could say that. So we're watching a lot of dermatological skin issues get healed in a very quick period. But I've also had someone reach out and say it helped with shingles. So everybody that's had that bottle of gold has utilized it on everything from head to toe. I even have a lady that puts it on the soles of her feet because CBD and CBG is an ingredient, whether it's in a beauty product or in a pain salve, it's still intended for one purpose. And so I have a lady that puts it on the bottom of her feet, and she says she can tell the day that she doesn't put it on because her feet hurt. So I've had everything used for it, but I intended it to be a beauty product, but I think it's gone beyond beauty.
And
So
I'm going to add one more thing because I use it every day on my skin at night. And by the way, my sisters, because I mean, we usually say, oh, yeah, but it's your DNA. And, you know, when your sisters say, what the hell do you do with your skin to have a skin like this? But I use it, just add one more thing on my cold sores.
Oh, yeah.
And it really helps. Let's talk to Davina now and hear her story. Davina, Element Apothec. How did it start?
Yeah, and I want to say, and Mandy, as she mentioned, I've also been around cannabis my whole life, and it's something that we share in common with our fathers. Although my father didn't go to jail, my uncle did, and I worried every day sick for my dad that he was going to go to jail, especially with all the stuff with DARE in school, and felt like I was lying to teachers and police officers when there was they would talk and do assemblies around DARE and ask if you know anyone that does cannabis and heroin and cocaine. I mean, they would put it along those same things. And I would sit there with my hands between my legs, like not raising my hand because I thought that they would know. And I thought on the weekends we'd visit my dad that they would be following me to his house. I always would look around thinking they're going to know I'm lying and they're going to come get him. But my dad explained to me the power of this plant. He was a Vietnam vet and had severe PTSD. And we understood the weekends we went to my dad's house. If his stash box was full, it was a good weekend with my dad. If his stash box was empty, and we would always look, we'd lift up the wooden box on his coffee table and we're like, oh, that meant we probably weren't going to leave the house. We would be hearing my dad have, nightmares. It was always tough. So that was an early history that I had with cannabis, and something that Mandy and I have talked about a lot in terms of the influence of business. But specifically for Element Apothec, my background is more on the business strategy operation side, but I've always been really focused on clean living. My son is on the autism spectrum, and from the moment he was born, I already was that person that would tell people to look at their ingredients and do they know what they're putting on their bodies, and look at even shampoo and conditioner, which people often don't look at. But when my son was born, even more so did I become focused on clean living and taking care of ourselves, and what alternatives could you consider using instead of medication, which is what they wanted to put my son on. So in parallel, my great aunt was also at that time going through multiple medical conditions. And so, my great aunt was quite sick and had basically turned to herself to find healing. She started exploring plant-based medicine and plant-based remedies to see what could help heal her. And through that process, she also realized that cannabinoids were a great addition to a lot of these other plant-based ingredients, and started making her own tinctures and lotions and balms. She made products even for myself, for my son as well. And so through that, she helped many people. Many people took notice. Over 8 years, I think she created 43 custom formulations, helping people with very specific functional needs, and had come to me and said, you know how to grow business, you know how to do this. So let's take these products from the kitchen to the world. That really became the start of Element Apothec. But I also knew that I didn't have background in training. I wasn't an esthetician. I wasn't a medical doctor. And so I brought on a whole medical advisory board. Dr. Swathi Varanasi came on, who's an integrative pharmacist, as our co-founder. Dr. Marvin Singh came on as our chief medical advisor, who was at the time working at UC Irvine in their integrative medical practice. We have a dermatologist, a OB-GYN. We have a whole team to say, okay, now let's look at these amazing formulations she made, and let's make sure they're safe. Let's make sure they're effective. Let's make sure that each of these ingredients works in the way it's supposed to. There's not just ingredients, similar to how Mandy formulates. There's not just ingredients in the products because we want them to be on the label. There's ingredients in these products because they really work the way they're supposed to. And we use a multitude of products because each product serves a very specific purpose. So anyway.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, because I mean, I'm going to take the seat of a consumer right now, or a customer. And there's, I think, something like 25,000 products out there right now on the market. There's people making it in the kitchen. There's people making it in laboratories, obviously, or manufacturing products. There's people that are white labeling it. There's people that just add CBD to a product that is existing. What makes your product different, or how will consumer know that a product is a better product, a higher quality product? Let's talk about that, because you guys spend a lot of time formulating your products. And why is it important, and what's different than formulating it this way versus adding a CBD compound to a product that is maybe good or maybe bad? But let's just talk about that for a moment. You want to start, Mandy? Because your facial expressions were going, please ask me this.
with me having a background in aesthetics and working with all the other plants in the plant kingdom, I worked with a product out of Paris, France called Yonka. And that product I was faithful to for nearly 20 years. And so I think they definitely inspired me and showed me what plants were already working that people had less sensitivities to, because there's a lot of people super sensitive to plant oils. So working hands-on and watching what's happening to the skin firsthand helped me tremendously. But I, in all honesty, feel like that we've had the car, we've had the wheels, and we've had all the right tools. But when cannabinoids became legal and we saw the inflammatory powers that it was producing, it was the motor that went into this car, if you ask me. It really got things going, because I could help someone clear their acne up in maybe a 15-day period without cannabinoids. Now that we've incorporating the cannabinoids in these very same ingredients that I've been working with, I can do it in a 3 to 5 day period. So just watching it firsthand and already having that history of working with lavender, rosemary, thyme, geranium, cypress, all these other essential oils, to me, it's been the missing motor. So I always wondered why my dad kept going to prison over a plant. I could not figure it out. And I'm glad that I didn't question it too much and was along for that ride. So he taught me a lot. And working alongside the physician, I think probably really prepared me for where I am now, because he was extremely into naturopathic herbs, more so than traditional big pharma medicine. So I've always utilized the plant. So I think the cannabinoids was just the missing ingredient, and because of the power of the inflammatory powers it has, and that's the root of all skin problems, is inflammation.